going on, guys? Thanks for tuning back into the Hook 937 YouTube channel. Before we get too far into the video, do me a favor, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my content. Got the truck here, unloaded some stuff. Kirkies finally came in. The covers haven't come in yet. That's not a big deal. I'm going to be working in the engine bay today. New steering rack. We're going to be doing something cool with the brakes. Motor's pretty much done. I'm waiting on fuel pressure sensor to come in, a different oil pressure sensor, some little stuff, nothing big. We're going to clean up the engine bay a little more. I got a little bit of surface rust here. We're going to change that, clean that up. Get some new Petter suspension bushings for the radius rods and for some of the paint under the hood. I don't know if anybody knew you could do this or not, but if you call up Napa and you give them your paint code, Cyclone Gray Metallic, they can mix your car's paint code into a spray can. So I got 2 spray cans of my car's paint code, and we are going to fix the owies. This is where the stock air box rubbed all the way through. For some reason, from the factory, it's primered down here. It's not painted. So we're gonna clean everything, pull all the stuff like this that we don't need out, and then we're gonna factory paint it before we put the motor in. So let's go ahead and get started. So first job for the night is getting the old brake booster out. And then once the old brake booster is out, we'll swap the racks. And then we'll pull up the instructions for putting the new brake booster in. I got a really nice kit from JCR. I talked to Paul a couple of times. Really helpful guy, and I think that's just the goal for the night. I only got a couple hours, so we're gonna try to get there tonight. Brake booster and rack, and then tomorrow night, hopefully I can fix the engine bay up a little bit, clean it up, paint it. And Saturday, hopefully we're dropping that motor. There's no real way to get a shot under the dash, but there's just 4 bolts and the rod that comes back to the pedal. Ooh, got my knuckles. So I think we got it all, so. Oh yeah. There it is, 4 bolts and the rod that goes back to the pedal. That's all that's inside. This one was kind of hard to get to, but none of them were so hard that it was very time consuming. But out with the old. All right, guys, so that right there is about as far as we're going to get on the master cylinder tonight, because I lost the instructions. So I messaged Paul. I'm sure he'll hit me up. I'm sure he'll hit me up tomorrow because it's a little later on the East Coast. We're going to go ahead and do the rack and maybe the radius arm bushings. We'll see how much time we have. But the rack, I'm tired of this thing piddling. It's got to go. All right, guys, spruced it up. A little bit of paint on the old K-member, kind of cleaned it up. I put this new radius rod bushing on. Getting ready to take this one off. They're super simple. 24 millimeter bolt here, 4 13 millimeter bolts here. It slides out. I'm putting these petter replacements in here. They're not anything fancy, but they do have adjustability options for caster. So I'm just doing the standard setting, and then I'll just keep my washers and stuff if it ever, you know, gets to an alignment rack and I find out that it's way off. But gonna go ahead and do the other one, and then I think we're gonna call it a night. We're going to move on to prepping the engine bay for a little bit of touch-up paint before we put the motor in, and then hopefully tomorrow we'll be dropping the motor. I don't really care if I oversprayed the brake line, but for the most part it looks pretty good. I'm not a body shop guy, but definitely looks better in a couple holes in the fender. Got rid of all the studs, everything's primered. Let the primer dry, self-etching primer, sand it with some 600, 800,000, whatever, make it smooth, and then we're gonna color match it. So getting pretty close. Still got to cut these out for the cold side. We'll probably do that once we have all the primer dried and sanded down and we're pretty much ready for paint. That'll be kind of one of the last things before we paint and start taping everything off. But that's where we're going to leave off for now. I got to let the paint dry a little bit. I'm going to do an oil change on my truck. All right, so the primer's pretty well dried up, looks good. I've gone 600, 800,000. I'm doing 1,200 now just to get it as smooth as possible. Once everything's smoothed out, I'll cut those last 2 holes, and then we're gonna tape everything that's not getting painted off. Alright, so rather than cut this whole thing out, because the intercooler piping isn't gonna be that big, we're just gonna use the same hole saw we used for the exhaust, and it'll fit. So we're gonna drill a hole here, both sides. Go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so we wiped everything down with some acetone. Like I said, I just got this from Napa. It's the Cyclone Gray Metallic. It is the paint code for the car. Everything's smooth. I'm really not worried about this up in here because I'm not painting the trans tunnel. I'm just painting basically the sides here, but it's all wiped down, all looks good. All right guys, it actually come out really nice. So here's the, you know, like I said, I ain't no body guy, so you can see a little bit of the Bondo underneath, but the idea was, you know, we covered up most of the holes. It looks really good, chopped off a lot of the studs. Some of the paint was worn through from the factory. I think it actually looks really good. Only thing is I got a little bit of fisheye here. It's actually starting to dry out. And this side actually looks pretty good. But once it dries out, so probably tomorrow, I'll come in, I'll sand that with like a 2000, or maybe I got a 1200 still. I'll sand it like 1200, 2000, clean it up, and then I'll give it all its final coat, and we'll pull all the paper and stuff out of it. And the engine bay is pretty much ready for the motor. I do want to run brake lines before I put the motor in, but that's not going to be too hard. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow when we finish prepping this engine bay for the new motor. What's up guys, thanks for tuning in and checking out this video. Editing the video out, and I realized that it was getting just a little long, so I'm splitting this one up into 2 videos. So the next video, already edited, it's going to be dropping in about 48 hours. It'll be the motor going into the car, and then we're dropping more videos after that. It'll be the transmission's already here. I'm actually on my way to go put that in now. We wire up the whole engine, we finish all the brake lines, a lot of stuff. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you don't miss any of that content. Leave us a like, drop a comment down below, and we'll catch you guys next time.